to Lead Live, reminding you of your personal genius and how you think in order to actualize what you desire.
Hello, hello. Just ask a very remarkable spirit, Jethro, what comes to mind when he hears the word vision? What does it mean to him? And he said, looking into the future. That made me smile because when I think about my vision statement for my life, it causes me to smile. When I think about the organizations that I was so fortunate to be part of, including to lead, I think about the big visions, the grand visions that we created. Yes, we created as teams of individuals, which leads us to our topic today. Here at Lead Live, our focus is on vision, its power to transform. So, what's the big deal about vision? In preparation for today, several things came to mind. One is I wanted us to imagine hopping into, well, for you to hop into your car or someone's car. And it started up, it's placing to drive, it's actually driving. And the driver has no clue where to go, no knowledge where that individual is headed. Can you imagine that? And then I thought, no, I can imagine that because I used to do that for fun. I used to jump in my car, aimlessly decide I'm going to go in this direction, and I take off. And then recently, a friend, when I asked where would he recommend that I go just for fun, he says, he, unknowing that that was my experience back in the 80s and part of the 90s, where I just take off, he recommended the same. So we won't focus on that. I'm going to share with you a different image that came to mind, an actual story. So let's say that it's you. I know you don't see yourself in this role, but just entertain it for a moment. You're retired, you're highly regarded, and known to be a trusted pilot. You were rushed to the airport to plane, to pilot a plane for one of your colleagues who, due to a child's unfortunate and serious illness, cannot fulfill professional obligations. And there are many pilots who are missing from duty. So you're asked to get to the airport, and because your generosity knows no bounds, you arrive at the airport, you observe emergency conditions causing lots of confusion, delaying many more flights. Luckily, for hundreds of passengers, you're taken immediately by shuttle to the plane that you're now piloting. Without fanfare and immediately after entering the cockpit, you're told to take off to ensure that the at capacity plane enables those passengers to get to their various destinations on time. Already delayed 30 minutes. And without a co pilot, you efficiently take off. Now you're in the air. You have no clue where you're going. And the air traffic control professionals are not responding to requests for guidance. You learn that you also have no flight plans in the cockpit. Now, worse off, the plane's intercom system is malfunctioning. You're unable to request help from the flight attendants who are with the passengers, getting them situated as you get them, they think, to their destination. So you assume that at least they know the initial destination. So the obvious issue here is not knowing where to go. Another issue is knowing that hundreds of folks are depending on you to get them to where they need to go. And you do not know where they want to go or need to go. Further, the passengers Worry created by the initial delay and the chaos at the airport is compounded by systems issues and more delays for you're unable to communicate to gain clarity. You jumped in to help, yet you did not anticipate that you'd have no co-pilot, no itinerary, and no elite group of air traffic control professionals as backup support. You said yes, and everyone expected you to deliver. That's your history. Now you're in the air, circling airspace with no help. You better figure it out. Do it, figure it out immediately. So why is a vision important? Well, akin to the mess that many professionals deal with, many of us have dealt with, without knowledge of destination and with chaos surrounding us. It seems to be in our way, thwarting our ability to make progress. And with systems broken, our communication systems broken, we may end up circling the masses and worse off, inadvertently contributing to the confusion. Now, with a clear and compelling vision, we recall our priorities, obtain relevant instructions, are energized to make happen all that is essential, at least. And we do this because it's our wiring. We're connected. So, what does a great vision do? It gives direction, it ensures clarity about the desired outcome of the organization's efforts. It enables us to create a mental image of the ideal state that the organization wants to achieve. It inspires us to create that mental image. When we see it, we're dreaming about it, perhaps. It motivates us to work with teams and to do so as a collective or collectives towards shared goals. Along the way, we feel welcome to make enhancements that results from the aspirational nature of that great vision. So, what is a definition of a vision? For a leader effectively transforming conditions, what's a big dream? Where the organization or the society is headed unconditionally. That vision is operationalized. One has gone, collectives of individuals have gone into the future and came back and said, this is what we're doing. Created that future initially. And it's an unconditional stance. They're not saying we're going to do this only if these things happen. They're just saying this is going to happen and we're going to manifest it. That vision is operationalized into high level, typically abstract, conceptual, long term, and challenging purpose that is sufficient to enable all persons who are contributing to actualize that vision to experience their own aspirations. In more practical ways, consider the following. Leaders with clear visions can see, they can imagine, they're creative. They use the power of perceptions and they're inspiring. They leverage intuition as they observe, gain greater perspective. They use foresight and they do so much more to inspire and support their teams to work unceasingly to actualize those visions. And because of these leaders, or because these leaders value individuals and they value teams, they value the collective, each organizational vision is developed with those teams. And so are the means with which progressive realization of worthy ideals manifested. The team, each team, those teams envision together, plan together, act in sync with their strategic priorities, engage in formative assessments of progress at all levels and make sound adjustments, and otherwise welcome the risk taking and collaborative behaviors that assure new learnings, growth, and progress. Now, going back to that image of the pilot who I ask you to be, suspend disbelief and imagine that you're that pilot for a moment. I know some of you would say, there's no way I'd get to the airport if I didn't know where I was going. There's no way this. It's just imagine enough chaos where all you're thinking about saving the day. You jump in there. And so in hindsight, one of the questions you ask before you even get to the airport, or even as you're rushing to the airport, is where is the plane to go? Where is everything, the itinerary, the manifest, all the relevant documents? So when you get into that cart or whatever mode of transportation that gets you from your initial vehicle to the plane, you've had a chance to review it. When you get on, doesn't matter what you're told, you already have the mindset clear. That's what an extraordinary leader does. And ideally, that's what you're doing. And a leader is not just someone in a position of leadership called and you fill in the blank, whether it's executive director, provost, president, chief executive officer, division leader. Everyone has the capacity, and ideally, everyone is leading at the level that they're acting, that they're living. Leading in one's own life with a vision, leading in one's own family as a member, key member of that family, leading in the community through civic engagement or whatever engagement works where that individual, we can contribute most. Leading in the organizations we choose to be part of. And the emphasis is on choose. When we choose to be part of an organization, we take on a responsibility for that organization, to be part of the transformation, to move it forward in a way that actually serves the greatest good. And ideally, that organization has a vision statement. So it's not just a personal vision statement that you have, one your family's created, one your community has created collectively, ideally, whether you're in a small village or you're in a large, city, there's a vision. And you buy into it because you helped to create it or create those visions. In the organization that you've chosen to be part of, do you know the vision? In fact, is there a vision? And if not, you may be the catalyst to ensure that there's something that's created by the collective, led by you and everyone else in the organization in your own individual ways, but part of a thoughtful process so that the organization can get to where it is being imagined. Without a clear vision, people don't know where to go. Without the clear details, based upon some higher macro, inspirational, big dream, why would anybody be motivated to even consider being part of the organization or going where they're recommended to go? So vision, it has major power, the power to transform, looking into the future. Vision. What did Warren Bennis say? One of the foremost researchers, writers, authors on the topic of leadership, and much more. He said leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. So, what are examples of visions that transform? So easy to, or maybe it's not as easy to think about an organization that instilled strategic leadership to be a leader in the industry. I'm going to come back to this particular organization. Netflix is one. Another organization used vision to aid in decision making, attracted and motivated talent. I'm thinking about Apple. I'm thinking about the initial creation of Facebook, now Meta. Maintain focus, create legacy. I'm thinking about the old Hewlett Packard in its initial days where it was near the top of all the leading organizations on the planet, and IBM. They prioritized resources. They helped to build what we now know as so many organizations leveraging the internet, leveraging high level of technology at our fingerprint or at our touch of our fingers. Define the company's culture. That's what vision does. It helps in those key areas. What did Harvard Business Review in 2019 publication revealed? Some of the top major organizational transformations due to the organization's shift in its vision. So whether in this country or another country, we can talk about a number of different organizations that realized they were going to go the direction of most organizations in time. They were going to go through what we call organizational demography. They were birthed, they went through their height, and they transitioned and died like life facilitates. And they could have a rebirth. And yet that is what happened in Denmark in 2012. The biggest energy company, Danish oil and natural gas, slid into financial crisis as the price of natural gas was plunging by 90%. And Standard & Poor's downgraded its credit rating to negative. The board hired a former executive at Lego, Paulson, as the new CEO. Where some leaders might have gone into crisis management mode, laying off workers until prices recovered, which is happening now, folks, all over the place. And some of you viewing this have experienced this. Paulson recognized the moment as an opportunity for fundamental change, as was recorded. He saw the need to build an entirely different company. What did he say beyond that? He said so much more, part of what I'll share. But he also renamed the firm after a legendary Danish scientist, Hans Christian Ørsted, who discovered the principles of electromagnetism. It had to be a radical transformation. We need to build a new core business and find new areas of sustainable growth. We looked at the shift to combat climate change, and we became one of the few companies to wholeheartedly make this profound decision to be one of the first to go from black to green energy. That strategic impulse to identify a higher purpose mission that galvanizes the organization is the common thread among Transformation 20, a new study by InnoSight of the world's most transformative companies, and that came out back in 1920. But what was the essence of what these company leaders did? Rather than engage in retrenchment activities, rather than retreat, rather than say we're doomed, they looked into the future. They looked at the lay of the land. They became much more conscientious. And their main purpose went from just serving stakeholders to being about serving society through innovation, commitment to a healthier economic environment and environmental opportunities for all. So, and then that was among that list, and they were at the top of the list. They also went beyond just the old model. They went beyond the traditional. They were more concerned about significantly shifting, transforming the organization so that it could be sustained. Yeah. They believed their decisions had to be reflective of a higher purpose that affects and is affected by the culture more globally. That drove their strategic decisions. And it helped to ensure greater clarity in basic daily tasks. And it propelled Netflix and other companies, and Netflix was the number one of those companies, to shift and make transformations that ensured they didn't have to do what so many other organizations did that ultimately led to their demise. So, what did CEO Reed Hastings do in 2013? I know it's a little dated, folks, but let's be real. This is what really happens when you and I take leadership, exercise leadership. In his case, he released an 11-page memo to employees and investors detailing the commitment to move from just distributing content digitally to become a leading producer of original content that would win Emmys and Oscars. What did he say? We don't and we can't compete on breadth with Comcast, Sky, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Sony, Google. For us to be hugely successful, we have to be focused, passion, a focused passion brand. And he used the example of Starbucks, not 7-Eleven, and there's value in both. Southwest, not United. HBO, not Dish. Since unveiling that new purpose, Netflix revenue literally tripled. I haven't looked to see what it is now. Its profits have multiplied 32-fold by 2019. Much more. And of course, it increased on S&P and other major indicators. But the transformation excelled new developments in products and services and business models and repositioned businesses' financial performance. So whether it was Netflix, Adobe, Amazon, Microsoft at the time, and many other companies in other countries around the planet, the shift in the leader's vision, yet it wasn't just an individual's vision, it was a collective vision that was aspirational, that was so compelling, it caused a shakeup in the organization. But one where people felt that they could add value to because it was large enough to incorporate their aspirations. So, those of you who are listening to this, you know remarkable leaders. In fact, some of you, when you've led with distinction, you knew that your vision was transparent. Your team understood their purpose. They were motivated to achieve key milestones. They helped to provide what? Essential direction and guidance. Members of your team were among the best leaders, for they too conveyed the vision effectively through words, nonverbal and energetic transmissions, in addition to or including the many deeds that you can reflect on now and say, oh my God, it was awesome. And many you have no clue about because they were so compelled by that vision to ensure that it manifested. Everyone could understand where everyone was headed and could move intentionally together as a team. So the power of leadership does not lie really in one person alone. We know this. We don't always demonstrate it, The degree to which we demonstrated, oh my God, we just give all kinds of gifts, not only to ourselves, but to the organization. So that leadership is shared by all who are members of the organization. Each one of us gets to inspire all others to manifest a reality that serves the greatest good. And so, with this brief broadcast, I want to thank you. I want to share my gratitude to each one of you who opt accordingly to create a vision. And when you're part of an organization, you're leading it, to do it in sync with those who are part of your team. And if you don't have a history of engaging members of your organization in vision setting, in mission creation based upon the vision, in developing the core values that will best illuminate not only the importance of that vision and mission, but how you work as a organization to get there. And then to do just that, work as an organization to clarify the strategic directions and then operationalize them in terms of resource allocations, in terms of deciding how the labor is shared, whether there's divisions, whether there's cross teams with expertise, sharing. I mean, there's so many different models of organization. It's not about a formula that you impose. It's about a formula that you create together that may not exist anywhere else. Yet because you use the genius of the collective, you're in a space you could not otherwise imagine. And you are uniquely and distinctively able to move forward even more so in profound ways. So my gratitude, our gratitude to each one of you who opt to lead in such a way and leverage that unique, distinctive, and beautiful way of being. We're so appreciative of you here at Lead Live and expect you to do all that you can do to move forward in a way that actually continues to serve the greatest good. Why don't? See you next week.